Hey Mike.
Hey,
So
howdy doody.
I'm good. How are you doing?
Doing great, man. Doing great. Best
I
as can
miss your
be.
voice.
Likewise, likewise. Last time I saw you was before the pandemic in Singapore.
No,
I
it was in
think
Bali,
we.
wasn't it? Or did we see each other in Singapore after Bali?
I can't. You're right. It might have been. It might have been Bali.
It was
Sure.
Bali with Nadia and Jamie and Sarah.
Yeah,
That was it. That was a
that
fun.
was that was pretty cool. I mean, the response from people of all of us getting together, people got pretty excited about that. That was really
Yeah.
nostalgic and cool. Yeah.
Um, MTV Asia officially went off air this past year. And I don't
Yeah.
think I know your journey. How did you end up on MTV Asia?
Okay, so I was 20 years old at the time, and this was 1995, 4 or 5. And I got with an agency because I wanted to get into the entertainment business and start hosting television shows. And um my agency, they sent me out for a couple of the second audition they sent me on was for this dance show called The Grind, which was hosted by Eric Nice in New York. It was a MTV dance show back in the 90s, very popular, but he was leaving and they were looking for someone to replace him. So I'm in Los Angeles. I auditioned for The Grind in New York and don't hear anything. Then maybe a month later, I get a call from my agent. Hey, great news. MTV's interested in you. And I was like, great. When do I fly to New York? Let's go. And she goes, well, there's a catch. And I
There's a
said,
catch.
what do you mean there's a catch? They don't want to pay me? What's the catch? And she said, it's in Asia. And I just was like, there's an MTV in Asia? I had no clue. And so next thing you know, I'm on a plane to Singapore and starting the most amazing journey of my life. 1995 to 1999 was my golden years, man. Those were pretty fun times. So that's how I got the job. They wanted
But
one American VJ that kind of didn't look very American. You kind of don't know
right.
where he's from. Me.
I,
Yeah.
I think that was like sort of like the pinnacle for all of us because we you couldn't really pinpoint like where we were from, like the VJs of MTV Asia
Yeah.
back in the
Right.
golden
Right.
era. It's like you can
That's
actually
true.
fit in in any regional country. Was it your first
And that
time?
was it. And then they started to split up later, right? Like kind of
Yeah, I
segment it. Yeah.
I had the. I mean, it was really cool that I was able to have that overlap with you guys.
Yeah.
I joined.
Overlap with us. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then afterwards, that's when they started to branch out to their to the separate markets and they localize. Um,
Which was weird. I mean, it seemed like it was working well. It seemed like and I loved that the music was being played across Asia. And I thought that would be great for sales for, when you have music from Thailand being played in Indonesia and vice versa. And then
yeah,
also, you're becoming popular in Indonesia and, an Indonesian DJs being popular in Thailand or it's
you
cool.
had that cross cultural element of just
Hmm.
bringing people together.
I,
Yeah,
I loved it. Yeah.
I sort of didn't want it to go localized as well. I felt like
Right.
it was just really cool that we had like an MTV Asia for all countries, and then we're
Yeah.
hearing each other's culture and everything. Was that the first time you came to Asia because of the job, or were did you have?
First time I came to Asia. Yeah.
Wow,
So I came straight out on a plane, had no idea what to expect. I was doing some research in books on what Singapore was like because, the internet wasn't really, you weren't just like Googling what, Asia's like.
you couldn't get
Um,
things instantaneously back then.
no,
No,
no. And that was a shame because I missed the boat slightly. Yes, we were in the golden years of MTV, but the years I was there, it wasn't Twitter and Instagram where I could have built up a million followers and been good. So that was kind of a bummer. I imagine you caught some of that, right?
yeah, I
Because you were there
did.
for 10 years.
I
Yeah.
had a an interview with Holly, who was the last VJ I worked with, and I learned
Hmm.
a lot from her because she came in tail end of when digital transformation was happening. So I learned so much from her, like from all the pressure she had with people being so opinionated. And I think back in the day for us, it's like we had that disconnect. You know,
Yeah.
we
That's
didn't
right.
have the
That's right. We didn't
Twitter,
have to deal with that.
we didn't have to deal with that, and Yeah, it's
That's
interesting.
that would be, I mean, just instant feedback of, how much they hate you,
Yeah,
or
exactly. She was telling me that.
eh,
She's like, she was getting like, you're the worst VJ ever. And I didn't know she was
you're
going through all
ugly.
that.
Yeah. I mean, people are
Yeah.
mean. People are just mean.
So it's really interesting seeing like the generations I was with MTV Asia, and seeing how like it affected the different colleagues I worked with.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. That's
so let's
cool.
bring this back when you were growing up. How much of an inspiration was your dad for you in your voice, in your journey, in your career?
Um, I was always very different than my dad. I always was just a little bit out there, wacky, like to be funny, and my dad was a little more serious. I don't think he had much funny in him, I mean, and so it was very different. But I just always remember being very proud of him and what he did, and I always would brag about him, and so I was, when people will come up to me and still do, I love Shaggy from Scooby Doo. Grew up with Shaggy, or the countdown, saved my life. I used to listen to it every Sunday when I was going through such a hard time. And, he was the voice that was just comforting to me. And so I still love it to this day. And, what he accomplished was just so big. And so it's just more pride in him.
Hmm.
And I don't know if it was inspiring I don't know why I got into this business.
Hmm.
I couldn't find something. I didn't fit into anything else at the time. And so I just, well, okay, well, my dad's in this, I'll do it. So I guess if that's inspiration, then yes. And so I very quickly booked the MTV gig and was able to make my own name,
Yeah,
which was
def
great, which was great.
definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up on your dad as well, and then I grew up on you. I mean, for us, it's like it's more like parallel in the sense that, I was an audience, so it was surreal when I met all of you. And the reason I brought up your dad is because I feel your dad and yourself, you both have such distinct voices and characters.
Mm,
So like to me, it's like,
right.
that will always stand out for me. So what
Yeah.
do you see like that, do you see that in Lil Casey, like that there's a possibility?
He looks like my dad. He's got the
Wow.
same shaped head, which is kind of like this big head with a flat kind of back, and the eyebrows. If you go to my Instagram, I did a couple side by sides, and he looks much more like my dad than he looks like me. So he's only 2.5. So I imagine as he gets older, he'll probably start looking more Asian, getting some, because the Asian genes are strong too. Lebanese genes are strong, Asian genes are strong. So it's going to be interesting to see what his mix looks like. And as far as what he wants to do, I'm just praying he doesn't want to be in the entertainment industry. I mean, seriously, man, you know how hard it is, right?
Oh
I mean,
yeah,
it's just,
yeah.
it's, you have to take so much crap from people. You have to have such thick skin, and I don't. So I've just kind of tiptoed my way through this thing, and my skin is actually not, it might seem like it's thick, but it's not. I get anxiety, I get panic attacks. I was on, it was a few years back, I was doing a gig on stage, and I just straight had a panic attack, and all I had to do was read a script off a piece of paper, and I couldn't get through it. And so I just told the audience, I'm sorry, I can't do this, and I just walked off the
Wow.
stage. But it's also a testament to how, I hope anybody who's maybe watching this who has anxiety and panic, it's like, it's not the end of the world. I walked off stage. I'm still here doing my gig. I'm still, people still want to hire me.
Yeah, I
So,
think people don't realize when they see us, because I relate with you, because I get
mhm.
those panic attacks too, and
Yeah,
I think it's the
yeah,
last thing that people would ever think myself or yourself would have.
exactly. Yep.
My hands start shaking, and then
Yep.
I start fumbling, and it's like I just freeze. I get that
Yeah.
sometimes, and I can't explain it, but it does happen.
Isn't it wild?
It's wild. It's strange when that
Adele
happens.
gets it. Madonna had it. I mean, it's, a
Exactly.
lot of people. Yeah. And
And
I think it affects people who are, you get situational anxiety, it affects, I mean, it affects everybody, but it's a lot of times affects people who are in front of the camera, or have to put up such a front, I mean, not that we're being fake, but you always have to be on when you're on.
yeah, Yeah, I had this talk with Ross, how for me it's like, because of the anxiety, it's like I have to go into these different personas of my, because I'm
Hmm.
an introvert, so I need to kind of
Wild.
compartmentalize at times.
Yeah, yeah.
It's and it's really strange because we have worked in a very extroverted career.
It's bizarre, man.
Bizarre, yeah. But
Yeah. That's it. And so you have to have thick skin. So I just hope he never gets into this business unless he's just yeah, anybody who's watching this, don't get into this business for fame. You will fail. You will not make it. You have to love this business, whether you're an actor, a singer, like you have to seriously be passionate about it and you'll make it. If you're not, if you don't love what it is, you're going to fail.
I think what's working against the generation is the fact that it's a very surface generation because of social media. It's like when you were going back about coming to Asia, and then you had to look through the books and learn about the countries or like the world.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's like so instantaneous. I really think when you go back to our time, it's like because you have to spend more time, there's
Mm-hmm.
more levels and layers in learning about things. Now it's just
Right.
really on the surface. And then to kind of add on to what you're saying, how you really hope that your son doesn't move into this, is because of the fact that everyone's a social police now. It's like
Yeah.
yeah, everyone's gonna attack you really fast, and then you need that
They're
thick.
gonna, yeah, they're gonna attack you, and then you just look at what fame is now and where it's all at. And yeah, there's some really talented Instagram and TikTok accounts and all that. There's some people doing some really cool stuff, but there's also just so much crap.
There's so much
I
shit.
mean, and it gets a lot of views. And like,
Yeah.
what is it all? I mean, I just, if I could do it now, I definitely, I would just do something that I can be super proud of, and something that I learn a vocation and do that and be proud of it.
Yeah, I hear you. I think the reason why I started this is just to have like conversations, because of the fact
Mm-hmm.
that you have so many content out there, and I feel it's time to have balance where like you're just being real and having like meaningful.
Podcasts are real.
Yeah,
Podcasts, that's
exactly.
all I listen to is podcasts when I'm working out or whatever. It's just, I think it's one of the best mediums right now.
Yeah, and I'm glad that it's out there as a choice, as an
Mm-hmm.
option for people. So that's always going to happen in each generation. You have like the pros and cons and everything.
Yeah, yeah. That's no doubt about that. That is so true, right? I mean, everybody thought our MTV generation was just all these wild and crazy, wacky kids. This whole world's going to shit.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
we
and
we were
now that
criticized.
seems so tame compared to now.
Yeah, exactly. I remember being called in because I was like in Juice Magazine, holding
Uh,
a cigarette butt, and
right.
they're like, "What are you doing? You're like
Yeah,
everyone."
right, right. Oh my God, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, it's God, it's bizarre. Now it's just so far beyond that.
So do you have anything to say like to the MTV Asia audience who I mean they miss you?
I need to do a post, by the way. They
Yeah.
when it happened, then right after everybody was posting, I was getting ready to do a post, and then something horrible happened in the world, and I can't remember what it was. I think maybe was it the football in Indonesia
Oh
situation or
yeah.
something like that.
Yeah,
And
that
so I'm
was
like, I'm not gonna, yeah, I'm not gonna be
yeah.
posting about MTV while this is happening. So I got to put something together now and post it. So I just want to say thank you all for the incredible 4 years I had there, and the memories to all the MTV Asia fans. And thank you. Now I still, people from time to time, they'll post pictures and say the good old days, the 90s batch, they were, it was the great batch. And I don't know if we really were the great batch. It's just that the time was the great time for MTV, because there wasn't YouTube, there wasn't all these other ways to find out what's happening in the Western world and with music, and in the UK and the US, and MTV was your portal to, okay, this is what people are wearing, this is how people are singing, this are the beats they're making, the music, the fashion, and MTV was that cool portal for you. And so, I mean, yeah, we all had good distinct personalities and we're all great, but I don't know if we we're any better than anybody else after us. It's just that it was the time that was special.
I'm gonna vouch that you guys were the great batch because I mean I overlapped with you and I was with them for 13
You're
years.
right in there with us, man. I mean, because you overlapped.
I overlapped. I was there for 13
overlapped.
years. I think why I vouched that it was a great batch because it's because of the team, the producers, the management, and how we were. I mean, we were basically literally like rock stars, but I think it was the training ground, the whole, I mean, the whole foundation was very different.
I could say what it was that I think made it work in the beginning, which they tried to tweak, and it, I guess, didn't work after that. And you know, I'm no CEO. I don't know how these things work. I could be completely wrong, but it seems to me that we back in the day were just given kind of freedom. Like, hey, do whatever, just go on the screen there and just do what you want to do. And yeah, the producers would write things, but they would let us just go off the rails and just have fun with it. And I think it got more, they were trying to stay with the times, and it got more into a box of, okay, this is what this show is exactly how we're going to do it. At least that's what I saw when I was watching MTV.
Right.
So it was just more a bunch of kids having fun and listening to music.
And we were really listening to music. I think one of the things, the criteria is like we had to know what we were talking about. I mean, I would be taken aside by like, you know, producers like Leslie and a lot. And they're like, you know, they would call me out, and they would call me out because they wanted me to get better. I remember I remember like again, but it only taught me to be better. So yeah, I do miss those days, and I think that's why it's always nostalgic when we get together and everything. I think we need to aim for a reunion soon.
We should always have reunions, man, and people love it.
Yeah, I think the next one we did the one in Bali, so I guess I'll hold the next one here in Thailand.
Okay, all right, I like it. And then the next in Singapore, and we'll just we'll move it around. It should be once every 2 years or something,
and then we'll
we just move it around.
Since
Nadia
and Jamie's there.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
All right,
that'd be cool,
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, man.
Man.
I saw on your email stories.
Oh,
how
stories.
many? Oh, we only have less than a minute. I can't. Oh, I thought I'd leave it on a cliffhanger for part 2. We'll do part 2 another time.
You can't do it in a minute.
Well,
we have less than a minute.
One time I got smacked